Three, two, one, and we're live. Welcome to another episode of Daily Refinement. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Today, I have Josh Profits with me, and we're going to talk about how to double your reselling business, whether it be in eBay or Amazon, or I think the same methodologies apply to every platform. Why don't you give us a brief introduction? Tell us where you live and what you do, what platforms you sell on.
Okay, so hey guys, my name is Josh. I live in Canada in the Greater Toronto area. I'm a full-time reseller. I started reselling last year at the beginning of 2017. I started really taking it serious about the April mark, so about 8 months full-time last year. Like I said, I'm full-time reseller. I sell on Amazon, eBay, local marketplaces like Facebook, Kijiji, Letgo, Craigslist. I'll sell anywhere possible that I can. That's basically me in a nutshell. I'm 27 years old, and yeah, that's it.
Do you guys have OfferUp in Canada?
OfferUp, I don't think so. We have something called Letgo, which I think is something very similar to OfferUp.
That's right. We do have Letgo here, and then Kijiji, I think, is native to Canada or in Australia.
I don't know about Australia. I know it's very hardcore in Canada, though. It's like the Craigslist of the States, but in Canada, yeah.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about doubling our businesses. I mean, we got to think in doubles because it forces you to get out of your comfort zone. So can you give us an idea of your sales last year?
Okay, so last year in the 8 months that I was doing it like hardcore full time, I did 250,000 in revenue. Majority of that was on Amazon, but I would say 75% was Amazon, 25% was eBay.
So that's a little crazy. Last year, I went full time in the middle of March. I did 179,000 on eBay and 10,000 on Amazon.
So
So
it's kind
it's
of like
crazy. So yeah, I'm definitely super excited for this year. But why don't you get us started off with your first idea on how to double your business?
okay, so my first idea, I would say, which is very important, is expanding your network. And the reason I say that is because the size of your network um, determines the size of your net worth. I don't know if you guys have heard that saying before, but basically what I like to do is I like to promote that I'm a reseller. A lot of people don't promote that they're a reseller and they kind of keep it to themselves. And for whatever reason, they just stay, whatever. I get out there, I promote them a reseller. I tell my friends, my family, people that I run into, people that I buy stuff from at garage sales, thrift stores. I speak to managers because the more people that know what you're doing, it will open up more doors, more opportunities for products for you to sell, basically.
So why are you not scared to tell people you're a reseller? Because I'm not. I tell people straight up, I'm an online business owner. I sell stuff on the internet, and I have no qualms with that. But do you feel like, I mean, we're on social media. We see people that are afraid to tell people.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good question. To be honest, at the beginning, I think I was a little bit afraid to tell people, and I maybe it was because I had this maybe there's like a stigma or something where I didn't want people to know that I was like buying used stuff and reselling it or something like that. And it took me a little while to get over that, but then once I realized that people actually think that it's cool and they want to support you and they want to give you things to resell or connect you with other people that have stuff to resell for you. Um, it's an amazing community out there, and when you're doing yourself a disservice by keeping yourself in your turtle shell, like you really need to break out of your shell and just tell people what you're doing. And yeah.
Can you give us an example when you shared that you're a reseller and it helped you?
Absolutely. um, I have a million examples, but just the friends and family network, for example. I told some friends and family, and like my in-laws, they are super supportive, and then they branched out, like, they tell their family around them what I'm doing. And I actually have um, my in-laws relative, I guess it's related to me now, but anyways, they own a clothing store, and they're actually going to be supplying me with leftover clothes and one-off things that I can resell that they can't move through their shop. So there's one example of just a connection that I've made through family by telling them that I'm a reseller.
I think this is super important, guys. We're talking about networking, I think there's a big difference between networking to get something from somebody, like going to an event, getting everybody's business card is very different than a deep connection. Because, for example, if your best friend is a wholesaler, you can call and say, hey, hook me up. And he'll be like, okay, you're already on that level of appreciation. And so it's the opposite of what you think. The best networkers, when they go to an event, they get one or two really close friendships. It's not the opposite people who go and meet everybody and don't develop that relationship, because you can't call the person that you meet unless you spend some time with them and really get to know them. So I think the networking part is, I think you guys need to focus on doing less people than you think and just really build that trust over time.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
So that's going to bring me, I guess, into my first point, which is um, I want to spend 20 hours a week working on sourcing. So these relationships, everyone that's listening right now, you are one good relationship away from someone quadrupling your store with potentially, or maybe 10x with one replenishable, right? If you meet a person that distributes dog bowls that are on fire for $50 for $5, you're gonna kill it, right? That's one person away. So I want to spend 20 hours a week working on this. That's the biggest chunk of my time. I want to do it when I'm fresh. I want to be excited. And when I call these people, I'm going to say, what can I do of value for you? I'm going to do research online, find out what their business is like. What do you need help with? And I learned that I went to Amazon ASD last year, is a conference, and there's a guy that did 15 million a year with 75 SKUs. And I was like, wow. And he's like, I'm the exclusive person on Amazon for 75 products. And I'm like, well, that's incredible. And he's like, well, I spend 24/7 building relationships with people because I already understand the Amazon part. I just need to get them to trust me as the only person. There's no competition in the game that I play. And I was like, wow. So it didn't really hit me that he goes that in depth, but his best tip was, I don't have a sales pitch because every person is different. I go look at their business. They sell widgets. What's wrong with your widget business? What can I do to fix that problem?
Mm-hmm.
And then I build a relationship. They trust me. Only I get to sell it. I get to be the one that sends the letters to people saying, take it off.
Yeah.
I want to be on that side of the fence. So that's cool.
Yeah, you hit it, right on the head there, man. Definitely building deep, meaningful relationships, at trying to establish, those one-off replenishable items are huge. And like you said, like you can meet one person that can completely change your business with, one product or one brand or whatever it is. Like that's huge for sure.
What's up, Lauren? Thank you for the $5 super chat. I met Lauren in Kansas City, and that's another thing that you can do is you can host an event. And I co-hosted the Reseller Fan event in Kansas City. Tons of people came, like 250 resellers came. If you host something, everyone gets to meet you. It's one great hack for introverted people. You can host. You can even do a seating chart and sit by the people that you want to sit by, whatever you want to do. But if you host, people will come to you. So why don't we get into your second idea?
Okay, cool. So my second one here is increase your average cost per item as soon as you possibly can. I understand that at the beginning, when you're just starting out in this business, you might not have a lot of capital. You might need to start off with the small items from, thrift stores or garage sales or whatever. But I just think it's so important because you spend the same amount of time sourcing these items, whether they're $1 items or they're $100 items. That the time involved is relatively the same and the work is relatively the same, but the profit is so much greater when you start increasing your average sale per item. And also, when you start increasing your average sale per item, I find as well is that you start meeting different types of people and you start going back into the network, right? You start surrounding yourself with people that are in a different level of a ball game that you want to be playing. So that just develops relationships further and it kind of snowballs off each other.
So what are you doing to increase your ASP?
To be honest, I've changed my mindset because when I first started, I was always just trying to grow, my $1 into $10 or something like, very small mind thinking. And then as things snowballed and grew bigger, I just started thinking, you know what, I can turn $100 into, even if the margins are a little bit smaller on the item, it just makes more sense to flip larger items. So now my mindset has changed. I'm just looking for higher ticket items is what I'm trying to say. I'm not looking for the $1, $10 items anymore because it's not worth my time.
How did you train yourself to elevate? Because that's not an easy transition for people because turning one into 10 is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. It's how did I do it? To be honest, I don't think there's a specific trick to doing it. It might just come with time, but I think I started to realize that my time was very valuable, and I was almost chasing my own tail in circles. Like trying to find these. You can buy an item for $1 and flip it for 10, but at the end of the day, it's only $10.
That's
So
right.
it's just really not worth your time at the end of the day unless you can replenish those items and do it at scale. So it just after a while of me spending all my time and burning myself out on these small items, I realized, okay, I have to make a change here, and I got to start buying more expensive stuff.
And I think as you grow, average sale price is huge. I'm trying to aim for $60 now. And I meet people all the time. There's a store I review all the time that's Pineapple Express 15 on eBay, and they only sell $1,000 or higher. And I was thinking that makes you if that you basically have to sell only certain categories if you want to be at $1,000 or more. You can't spend your time basically no clothing. It has to be luxury or hype beast to the max to qualify for the 1,000 category. And that's going to require way more relationships and knowing the store owner, when to wait online, because it's like you'll see a Gucci release. I've seen it before where I've gone to the store and when the store opened, I watched somebody leave with what appears to be all the good stuff already before they even open. Right. So there's like different types of strategy. And if you want $1,000 ASP, or when I put up the challenge, like um what how do you guys see yourself making $1 million? There were maybe 3 people out of 100 that said, I want to sell one jet.
That's
And I was like,
right.
that's true. You could just sell one jet for 40 million, but you bought for 39.
You have to get to that level though, right? Like it takes time, and you can't do it right off the bat unless you got the capital, but just something to keep in mind, right? Like always try to be increasing your average cost per item.
Absolutely. So guys, this is another thing that I want to play off of Josh's point on time, which is one of my things that I'm going to use this year to double my business is in each one of my systems in my business is sourcing, listing, prepping, photographing. I have a legal pad there now, and I'm writing down as I'm doing it how long things take because I need to double the amount of time I have. Okay, so if I do the same thing, if I do it twice as fast, I'll double my income. So I'm looking at ways to do that. Can I have somebody else do it for me? I'd rather have 5 average workers than myself working to the bone. And I don't know how to do that exactly. I hear people say the way to grow your business is people. That sounds easy, but it's not easy because people are people. And I would much rather rely on a computer than a person. So you have to, really get in there and make your systems faster. If it takes you an hour to list an item and then next week it takes you half an hour, you just doubled your hourly wage.
Yep, absolutely. And to kind of touch on that is you have to be efficient in your business, and increasing efficiency in your business is going to increase your time and your productivity. I mean, increasing your time, like you said, it's gonna give you more time to get out there and source. And decreasing the amount of time you're spending on simple tasks is going to increase how much you're making per hour. For example, just a very small, like kind of newbie tip is what you can see behind you in your garage. When I first started, I started with a cardboard box in the corner and I piled all my stuff in that box. Well, it very quickly grew from that box to growing up my entire floor space until I saw, hey, other resellers are using shelving units and they're storing things vertically with plastic bins, and then you've got like a filing cabinet type system, and that increased the amount of that increased the efficiency in my business and decreased the amount of time I was spending looking for crap, and so on and so forth. So that right there was just a small tip on how I became more efficient on a very small scale or a small thing in my business. Yeah.
And my first inventory system was pile on the floor. So that's like, it starts there, right? It starts with pile on the floor. And then it went to bins, and then I just stacked the bins. And then when I switched from bins to shelves, it blew my mind because I was like, now I can stack them 7 high. And you can use a stool if you're shorter, but I can reach. But the amount of stuff you can fit in the space is incredible.
Right.
You know,
And there's every step of your business, there's little hacks or little ways to make it more efficient, just like that. You just have to kind of break your business down into every step and just try to implement new things.
So everybody, if you're watching the live stream, please hit the like button and let us know in the chat specifically what you have the most, what you need the most help with, whether it be listing, sourcing, photography, shipping, accounting. What's your weak point? So maybe Josh and I can give you some ideas on how to improve it.
Cool.
Let's see. So Eliza's asking, you saw my IG live that I'm up to 1,800 listings on Poshmark. I definitely have help. So I can list around 40 items a day, but with my lister, he lists between 50 and 70 items per day. So his goal was 1,000 items in April, and he listed 1,009 items. So, and I asked him at the end of every month, do you think we should hire somebody? And he said no. He said, let me try to do 1,100 items this month and see if I can do it. And if I can, great. If I can't, you might need to hire somebody. But let's see if we can keep the growth going consistently without burning me out, because this is something I really want to learn how to do. I want to get more out and pay more instead of getting more out of somebody and paying the same, which is what I feel like a lot of people do. And it makes people quit. Like my guy's been with me for 6 months. He just listed his 4,000th item. That's a lot.
That is.
Like that's a ridiculous hack. So you guys need to take care of your people. It's so important. Otherwise, no one will work with you.
That's something I struggle with myself, is I try to do everything on my own. I am just a one-man show. But I am looking at hiring somebody and trying to increase my productivity. Absolutely. It's about time I do it, because I know for a fact that my time is more valuable than the stuff I'm doing right now. I can hire somebody, increase everything, and I can spend my time sourcing and then just increase how much money I'm making, right? To put it in simple terms.
Absolutely. And it sounds weird. Like if your time's worth $100 an hour, to work an extra hour and then not do your own dry cleaning,
Yeah.
right? If you and just get in the right mode of doing things, and you'll see like you need to be like really aggressive about your time. When people are like, when you get an email, like I use unroll.me all the time to unsubscribe to emails. I got in a bad habit in my 20s of just subscribing to everything. So it took me like literally a year to unsubscribe from all my stuff, but it's only important. And I do my email in reverse order. I think you guys should do that. Instead of replying to the first things, I'm trying to do the oldest stuff first. And it's awkward, but it's helping me get through my stuff quicker and prioritizing that. Instead of email, I think is kind of upside down. You literally work on the newest thing first, the way it's designed.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I never thought about that.
People have an issue. Okay, so people are asking about mistakes when they do it. Of course, there are mistakes when they do it. As an example, today, I started getting some supply for Athleta. It's a girls' athleisure brand, right? And I want to get into that category because I watched that Nike commercial that says that what women really wear leggings for is to sit on the couch. So I was like, awesome. This fitness wave is huge. Everyone wants to look like they're in shape, but not really be in shape. So I was like, I want to jump on this trend. So I bought some Athleta Girl, which is a kid version of Athleta, but my lister did not know that. So right now in my store, there's 50 listings that are listed in the wrong category. Okay, so, but I'm not mad at him because he didn't really understand. It's my fault for not making it clear, because leggings are confusing. They stretch sometimes really far. It's hard to tell as a dude that's never listed leggings before what they're at. So I just said, no problem, don't worry about it. I'll go ahead and adjust it for you. I'm not going to deduct his pay. I'm not going to do weird. It's my fault for not creating a system. So I just said, don't worry about it in the future. Athletic Girl is for girls. He didn't know that, so I have to go back and fix it, and it's fine. So I think that if you can't get people to work for you, sometimes it's your leadership skills, because he can make a mistake and not feel like he's going to get fired. I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Was the question making mistakes hiring people or just making mistakes trying to double your resale business?
Like, because some people, they're saying that when you hire help, sometimes you have to go back and approve, or are they drafting for you? How do you adjust it?
For sure.
Spazzy Lab, thank you for the $50 super chat. Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary on eBay. Appreciate it. eBay is so cool. It's always evolving. I think that now I feel like eBay is about to have a fire lit on their ass, because all these companies are starting to offer cool stuff. Like if Kijiji or OfferUp, or not OfferUp, Let Go, start to offer shipping. Like OfferUp just offered shipping just this week in the States.
Wow.
That's a whole new playground, because now the people can sell, instead of local, it's now national.
Yep. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Um,
Kijiji is starting to offer like a PayPal type, like a payment system, which
mhm.
is really cool and exciting to see. I want to see if that kind of expands and grows from here. But if they start offering shipping, that would be insane.
It would be insane. Then, now you're seeing all these companies that are young, nimble. All the young people work there, right?
Yeah.
As much as I love eBay, it hasn't changed much. In the 1 year is like 10 internet years. There's so many interesting things that evolve and change, and platforms are incredible. Let's see. This is a good point. Maybe this can lead us into your next point. Aqua is saying fear of being fired is anti-productive. Maybe we can talk a little bit about your mindset change to double your income.
Absolutely. So overcoming fear of failure and taking on bigger risks is one of my points. Um, Fear is something that a lot of resellers have. I mean, everybody in business kind of has a fear of failing or, getting to the next stage and taking on that bigger risk. And the bigger risks you take, the bigger you can fall basically. But um, it is something that kind of just comes with time. But I think you said earlier your only limitation is yourself in business and in life. So the quicker you can overcome your failures, or sorry, your fears, and bounce back from your failures, the quicker you're going to be able to scale your business and the more successful you're going to be. um, how to actually overcome them, you just have to incrementally take on bigger risks over time, like slowly, just incrementally. Yeah.
I think this is something really cool with mindset, which is like, for example, I grew up in very like middle class, and when my parents were stressed out, they would turn out the stuff like food or like alcohol, or whatever. That's how they dealt with stress, right?
Yeah.
And I've been networking a lot recently, and I just met a 22-year-old kid who's uh, netting six figures. And when he gets stressed out, this is what I thought was so interesting. He goes to the gym.
Hmm.
I was like, think about how different it is if you were to drink 4 beers versus going to the gym to deal with your stress. Or if feel like there's a crunch and you stay up all night sending a bunch of job applications out to get a side hustle, or you're applying or doing something, versus being depressed or complaining.
Yep.
These small habits and mindset changes are so different. Like, you spend all your time improving yourself, it's bound to improve.
It definitely does come down to a mindset thing for sure. Um, yeah,
How do you subscribe to you're the average of the five people around you? Do you believe that?
absolutely. Growing up, I was always told like you are who you hang around with, but like, when you're younger, you don't believe that, right? You're like, oh, I don't think so. I'm not like that group or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. The people you associate yourself with, you hang around with, you spend all your time with, you will become those people. Whether it's the standards that they hold for themselves, you will hold for yourself. Um, you know, I couldn't agree more to that for sure. I try to surround myself with as many like-minded people, like in the reseller community, or people that just want to better themselves, be successful. Um, yeah, basically all my friends are all super successful. I really don't hang around with anybody that is negative or that can bring me down. It's just not worth it.
And I want you guys to think about mindset being really, really clear. So there's a little bit of negativity in the chat, and I want to point it out because I appreciate it. So Gnarly's talking a little bit about how of the stigma of eBay potentially being a second-rate site. You're getting stuff for cheaper, flea market type thing, garage sale. And when you look at it, honestly, it kind of looks like that because a lot of people take very poor pictures. They're very dim. They don't describe it properly. They look like they're hiding something, and the price is way below market. That's not usually the conditions for a right marketplace versus on Amazon. It's very strict. Everything needs to be crispy clean. It's a retail store. You don't ask for a discount at a retail store, but you haggle when you're at a yard sale. I get it. I get it to the point where some of my wholesalers now, I can sell on Amazon and not eBay. Like there's actually restrictions like that because of that mentality where eBay is going to degrade the price. So I totally get it. I just think there's different places for different items. There's items that sell for more on eBay than Amazon. Rare, but there are categories like that too. It's not only the other direction.
For sure. And honestly, instead of, thinking of it as a negative way, try to turn that into a positive. I mean,
Mhm.
there are people on there that are, they've got crappy pictures and listings and whatnot, and they're, they give off that image, but that doesn't mean that you can't improve on your listings and separate yourself from the rest of the pack, and increase your average cost per item, increase the amount you're charging for your item because you have those better listings and better pictures. You don't have to be like those people. So
No, I absolutely agree with that. And that's why, so someone's mentioning Poshmark's customer service here, and this is how I see it. Poshmark's brand new, and it's the wild, wild west, and it is the easiest app I have ever used to list something. Okay, which means anyone and everyone is listing their junk. So when I look at it, I'm like, this is great because the competition is so low. Anybody can sell on it. It's just flooded with people who don't know what they're doing. I step in, professional background, professional descriptions. It looks like a store, totally different. People are like, garage sale, dark photo, bathroom picture. What? This is like a store. So it's like totally different. My prices are like double the market because the presentation is different.
that's awesome, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And I just don't get down about. And also, like, I um I had 28 offers in a row declined, counter offers, and I still feel great. I'm just like grateful for 28 offers coming in. I'm not like, oh man, no one wants to buy from me today. It doesn't bother me because then maybe the next 28 in a row will buy. I'm really just not worried about it.
Yeah, I just look at the offers as there is a market for that item you're putting up there. There's a demand for it, right? So somebody's gonna bite eventually.
That's right. I do really like eBay customer service. It's a little bit, I mean, like there's also different levels of customer service. Like I have an anchor store. So there's eBay merchant help, which is always a US based person. And they have to have a store in order to be in that seller support. So it's a little bit different, right? If you just get the regular eBay customer support, it's different. And if you don't have a store at all, it's also different. And there's different levels. Companies are different. I've also had poor eBay customer service before. And also the advice for any customer services, if you don't get the answer you want, call again. Get a different rep, ask for the same thing. You might get a totally different answer. I've had negative feedback removed. I've had cases overturned. Just like be in a good mood. If people can feel how you are. So if you're in a horrible mood and you try to transfer that onto the agent, they're not going to help you.
Couldn't agree more, man. Like I love eBay's customer service, and I have a bad habit of, like, to be honest, I really don't like Amazon's customer service. And whenever I have to call Amazon, I'm automatically in a bad mood. And I know that they can feel like the vibe off of me that I'm in a bad mood. I don't communicate the same way. And the results from the customer service are directly impacted, or, like it's a yeah, I totally agree. I try every time when I call Amazon now. I'm just like, okay, like be upbeat, say good morning, like be nice to these people, because like it just drives me nuts. But you get more bees with honey, right?
I know. I got to shout out Wired by Biz. He starts his morning with 1 minute straight of smiling. And because he's like, I've never one day woke up and just like fly out of bed. It's not really like that. I want to go straight to sleep as soon as I wake up. So he's just like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to smile for a full minute. Every time I have to do something I don't like, I'm going to smile for a full minute because it should trick me into liking that. And most of the time, this sounds crazy, guys, but most of the time, the thing that you don't want to do the most is the only thing you need to do. I heard that saying. It's like if you don't want to do accounting and you despise it, tomorrow that should be the only thing you do is work on your accounting. Go wake up in the morning, go straight to a CPA and figure it out. And that's gonna. But if you smile and have an awesome cup of coffee before you, maybe you're more likely. Just like try to hack yourself into doing things that you don't like.
I like that. Try that.
It's hard. It's hard to eat the frog, proverbially. Do the thing you dislike the most right off the bat.
For sure, definitely.
Well, back to the topic again of this goes on along to our main topic of doubling our business. I need to hire a second full-time person. Right now, I have one full-time person that started as a 5-hour-a-week person. 5 hours a week, helping me with photographs. Helping me with photographs turned into helping me with photographs and measurements. Then photographs, measurements, and drafting. Then listing. Now listing and listing on Poshmark. Now listing on eBay and Poshmark and prepackaging it and putting it back in here. Right. So the next step is, can he actually ship for me? And okay, one more thing that I think you guys need to realize. People say, oh, I'm afraid that they're going to take over and they're just going to start their own business. For me, I'm like, great. If I taught you how to do it, go for it. And my eBay lister has a very healthy 500 item store. And it's fine. He's learned from my store that if you have expensive stuff in your store, it doesn't sell that fast. So you can maintain a 500 item store of over $100 ASP because things don't sell that quickly. But it takes a little bit of time to build up. He has less time, more money because he's working for me. He doesn't have time to go hunting. So his store is smaller, but doing just fine. What's up, Wade? So what do you think on how are you going to hire somebody? Do you have help now?
So I don't have any help right now. I'm a one-man show. I do everything from sourcing, listing, shipping, customer service, everything. I think what I want to do is I want to hire somebody to at least prep and pack and ship all my items for Amazon because majority of my business is wholesale and it's replenishable items. So I'm basically just need to replenish, order the items, and I want to have somebody here or at a warehouse location that can just prep my items and then send them off, or even have somebody that can just take care of all my eBay listings as well, because it's very time consuming, like selling these one-off items that I have as well, creating on the listing. So same thing as you, I just need somebody to photograph for me and just create the listings and just do all the shipping.
So why don't you have somebody?
So to be honest, I don't have anybody because I come from a very, which is surprising, I come from a very like frugal, cheap mindset. And I always, growing this business from the very start, I've always wanted to keep my overhead as low as possible until I've proven that I've been successful. Now I obviously have way surpassed that point where I've proven that I'm successful to myself, but I'm still just stuck in that kind of mindset or I have been stuck in that mindset, like, oh, I don't want to hire anybody. I don't want to get a warehouse location, etc. But these are things that I've started to realize that I need to be more efficient. I need to hire somebody if I want to scale and be able to have more time so I can actually step back from the business if I want to, or increase my time that I can actually do more productive things in the business, like sourcing.
So this is, I just listened to a podcast on how to hire your first person. And they said that the number one thing that prevents people from hiring somebody is they think they can't afford it. When really, probably they can if they look at it in a certain way. So let me ask you this. Let's say that I were to show up on Monday, a couple days from now, ready to work. What would you have me do first?
First thing I would have you do is probably go through the death pile and start listing all that stuff, because if it's not listed, it can't sell. And yeah, probably just go through, I would have you go through that stuff. And also, I don't know how it would work out hiring somebody to go through my listings and adjust pricing and stuff like that. I don't know how that would work out, but I would love to have somebody do that as well. But that's probably what I would have somebody do right off the bat. So it would just free up more time for me to go out and source and buy more stuff and just repeat the cycle.
Have you ever created any videos of you doing any of the stuff that you do?
I do. You mean like my process? I record a lot of videos
Yeah.
on my channel of stuff that I buy, kind of just showing people educational wise of what I buy, how much I buy it for, how much I sell it for. But as for like educational wise, not really, to be honest.
The reason why is because I'm trying this right now. I want to launch a couple more projects. And so I sort of hired ahead and I set a budget. So I set a budget of $400 worth of help. And I said to the person, I trust you. Let's try to get $400 of value out of this. I'm from the same way. For me, that's a lot of money. But I'm just thinking, okay, we're going to figure out what it's for. And I've already invested its spent cost to see if we can figure out what this person is supposed to do as far as helping me create show notes and outlines and scheduling people interviews and also organizing wholesale lists for me to call. I want to spend the entire 20 hours on the phone building relationships with people. And ideally, I'd only be calling people that already fit the metric that I'm looking for somehow, right? Building in a business. And I think that from what I've seen online, wholesale businesses are a little bit more stable than private label, but they cost more money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Going back on that point of like people think that they can't afford it. I mean, I've kind of been stuck in that mindset as well in the past, right? Like when you're trying to scale the business or grow it, you don't think that you can afford it, but in reality, if you do it properly, paying for somebody, employing somebody will actually, increase the amount of money you're making. So it's just a mindset shift that you need to try. And it goes back to like, overcoming your fear of failure. I'm not perfect. I know I'm preaching right now and I'm talking about overcoming your fears, but it's something that I'm constantly working on in every aspect of my business and my life is just conquering fears. So that is going to be my next fear that I'm going to be trying to conquer is hiring somebody and putting that system into place.
One thing I think helped me get over my fear is that it's possible you're going to hire someone who's better at doing it than you. So when I put up the photography ad, I put, please have zero eBay experience and be really good at photography, basically. And a wedding photographer replied, he's like, I don't know anything about eBay. And I said, this is my eBay listing. Can you take these exact photos and then email it to me? And 5 people did it. And I had 5 people show up and I picked the best person that I liked the most of the 5-person tryout. And during that time, they just took photos. And I wasn't even sure which photos I wanted for my clothing. So people were doing it however they wanted to. And then from that process, I figured out the exact photo sequence that I'm looking for from my own. Because for everyone, I think that's one advantage you have in your online stores. You can do the store the way you want to do your store. And there's people who are better than you. The person I used to say in my ad, looking for people with quick serve experience, because if you worked at a burger place or fast food, you don't have time to think. You have to know exactly what your job is and execute, or you can't work there. And I had a Starbucks barista work for me one time, and she explained to me that at a Starbucks, after 2 weeks, you should be able to work every station. I'm like, that's amazing. Can you imagine being that good at hiring that someone could step into your Amazon business and know how to do everything, every single thing you do in 2 weeks?
That'd be a dream come true.
That would be crazy. And then she also said that they rotate and do all the tasks every day instead of just only cashier, only this kind of coffee, only tea. You just slowly get involved so you understand how the whole thing works.
That's cool.
That's a little scary, but I think that's important for you guys to realize that you're going to eventually, I can't list as fast as my lister at this point. It's so crispy. It's so clean. He has no other distractions. The phone that he lists on doesn't have any other apps and no notifications. He can only list, like, there's no apps on it. There's no Safari. There's nothing. So it's just Poshmark, eBay, camera. So if he has people ask me, what do you do when they don't know the price? So for him, he'll put $999 And so I can sort from high to low and just correct those ones if he doesn't understand the pricing, so that he doesn't accidentally underprice something. And then also, this is fantastic, but sometimes buyers will tell you, hey, shouldn't this be like $30? So it's great because people will sort from high to low because of that perceived value thing. Not everyone shops low to high. If you're looking for collectible stuff, you might be looking for the best condition one. I think people miss that.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, the E-Myth is great because if you guys haven't read the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, it's a fantastic book talking about how there's different roles. And I think it's, for me, I still am not quite there because there's so many things I do myself that I know I should not be doing myself. Somebody else should be doing them. And that's what, when you look at the most productive people in the world, they do really few things, but those are the most important things. They're decision-making machines, and that's it. Like, what should we do? This or this? This. Next. And they choose the next thing, and then people execute everything. I just think that's so cool. Like, I was looking at Biz Stone, because he's the CEO. Is it Biz Stone, the CEO of Twitter and Square? He's like a double CEO. And they're saying that he makes 200 major decisions a day. And that's it. He goes to work. He does no actual work. People ask him which direction, and he just thinks about that and then goes home. And then highest paid person there.
Man, that's insane. That's one thing that I admire about you, and like why I've been following you from the very beginning, is that the systems that you put into place, and I mean, you're very active in the people that you surround yourself with, and that's clearly, you can clearly see that. So that's cool.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone in the chat have anything specific that they want to work on, or specific questions? One thing that Aunt Ziff presented is a very key point too. Getting help outside the US is very cheap. I haven't found, people are worried about giving their password to somebody overseas or something. For me, I have trusted every single VA more than people I know in the States, for sure. Like, they need the money way more. If minimum wage in your country is $1 to $2, a $2 to $4 job is insane. That's like a $25, $30 job in the States here. It's 10% less in Canada. And you can see they don't want to screw it up. There's no reason for them to do something shady. Like, just don't immediately give them full access. Work with people slowly. And you could even hire a VA for $30 to go through your listings without your password. Just have two screens open and compare your pricing with the market, and then send you a report of the adjustments. That doesn't require any access on their point. That's a relatively straightforward job. All they need to do is click sold and compare.
Wow.
Eliza's a decision, and she does 200 decisions in 10 seconds, 10 minutes. I agree with that. Kids are crazy. Tanisha has a new habit of weekly business meetings with herself to go over financials, listings, marketing, and improvements in the business. That's a very E-Myth Revisited thing to do, to have like a weekly meeting with yourself to work on the business instead of just working in it. So Team Cermak, this is a really strange operation or idea, but I guess the main thing in a one-man operation to level up is to create more time.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. Touchy. I just read that actually, and one thing that has helped me, because I am 100% solo in this, is getting into replenishable products. Replenishable products was the easiest way for me to scale my business, and for me to increase the amount of time that I had in my business. Selling one-off items for big profit is super sexy. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves seeing the numbers and, getting the big profits. But the truth is that it's not, you cannot replicate it over and over and over again. So once you make that one sale, you're kind of just sitting there thinking, or, okay, now where am I going to get the next big deal? And that can be very time consuming. Like, for example, I just picked up this Helly Hansen jacket here the other day for $35. and I flipped it in under 24 hours for $320. So, I almost 10x my money. It's amazing. I love the ROI on that, and it gets me super pumped when I make sales. But at the end of the day, it does not compare to the replenishable products that I have sourced out and from wholesalers or from connections that I've made. Um, so that's my biggest tip for you, is try to find replenishable sources for your items.
That is such a good idea. And also, D Victoria is saying, I gave the advice of spending more to make more. Like, as a general rule, try to at least double your money, but try to spend $20. And people are like, oh no, I can't spend $20 on an item. They can't get over that. I'm just like, just try. And it's scary, but the statistics on Terapeak show that items over $60 usually sell faster if they're priced competitively, because you also have the ability to discount it a little bit and move it. And also you have the ability to, for me, when you're doing replenishables, if you buy 10 computer servers for $300 each, less people can enter that replenishable because it's expensive.
Yep.
Even if you sell them for 400, that's going to be hopefully $30 to $50 profit a unit. It's a little scary.
I mean, just getting into replenishables alone have a much lower competition rate, because not as many people are out there building the networks or the relationships to get those replenishable connections, right? So even if they're just small ticket items, like a lot of stuff that I sell on Amazon, for example, it's just like $20 or $30, and they just keep selling every day, just a whole bunch of them, and they just tick 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 tick, and the money just adds up over time. So and anybody can get into this stuff. It's just that barrier in their mind. They think that they can't open up these accounts, or they can't build these connections or relationships,
Thank you for the $5 super chat. And Lauren brings up a good point that you should always hire someone smarter than you with a different skill set if you want to grow. And entrepreneurs have a habit of hiring people who are just like them. So maybe don't do that. I hired a professional photographer to take my photos. The first day, he took better photos than me. So it's not that he's been doing it way longer. So and just today, I was like, hey, do you know where this shoe is? And he said, no. And I know I didn't take that photo, because he knew right away that I took that photo because it wasn't as crispy as his. So it's crazy.
Yeah. I haven't hired anybody, but from what I've read, obviously, is you should hire people that can work on your weaknesses and focus on your strengths. So.
Your goal for the year is to get the $35 ASP. Shay, I also want to point this out. It's kind of like if you find 10 items that are sell for 20 that are the same, it's almost better than one item that you get for $1 for 35, because you also have the opportunity to buy it again, and you have the out of stock option on eBay. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you sell out, the listing still stays active just with zero quantity. You can reorder.
That's a really good point. Your time is the most valuable asset in this business. The more of it you can have, the more money you can make.
I just posted, Huzan is asking advice on finding replenishables. Okay, so let me give you an example of Prince. Prince stayed with me for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks that he was here, he spent 100 hours on the phone. He does $2,000 a day with 78 products.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's what happens when you don't know. So what he does is the opposite. He goes onto the eBay main page and sees what's selling. He's like, okay, this is selling. Then he tries to figure out how to get it. That's it. It's the opposite of what most people do.
Yep.
And it's hard. I don't know how else this other than follow the supply chain and try to find it.
It's funny that you say that, because I put out a video. That's exactly how I run my Amazon wholesale business, is that I go to the Amazon bestsellers page and I see what's selling the best, and I go down the list one by one, and I just check, okay, I just check every single supplier or brand, and I try to get access to those people, and I will sit on the phone, I'll call every single one of them that I think that I can get access to, and and that's it. I just sell best-selling products.
It's so boring, guys, but it's the way. And then once you have stuff that sells over and over again, it's so crazy to think that he hasn't had over 100 listings and did 720,000 last year by himself with no car. So when you have no car, you also have to learn how to source online.
Yeah, that's insane.
And so he was like, how do I do this? I have no. And then also, this is going to get a little bit weird, but like you start losing all your friends because they can't relate to you. So he's in a weird position because he's had to level up and look for people outside of his area that are trying to get to the next level. Like right now, he's spending time with people with 1 million subscribers on YouTube, 7-figure companies, because he's trying to figure out what do they think about. They don't think about the same things that I think about because they're one level ahead. And so that's completely hacking the system when you try to get the habits of people who are a step ahead of you. Yeah, I guess it's more of an issue on Amazon. I think if you run out of stock, you do lose your rank. On eBay, you kind of keep it for at least you keep your watchers. You don't necessarily keep the rank.
Okay.
Alex uses Amazon Prime, so you don't waste time shopping. I can see that too. eBay's guaranteed shipping program is fantastic too. The problem is they don't have enough inventory, so people don't like it. People click guaranteed shipping in 3 days, and there's not very many. They're not going to keep using that feature. So eBay's got to figure out a way to do it, and that's why they had mentioned potentially doing eBay FBA. They had sent that email to a few sellers saying, what would you guys think about us fulfilling products? And of course, that'd be a game changer, but they don't seem like they're in the shipping business other than their global shipping program, which is kind of fuzzy. I don't know if they have it in Canada.
They don't have it in Canada, but I also got the same email. So I don't know if they're going to be implementing that in the future. It's pretty exciting to see if something like that would happen. But yeah, I definitely got the same email.
So yeah, guys, everything is about time. When you save your sellers time, they can grow faster. For every one person that scales an eBay business, there's 100 on Amazon, it feels like. Everyone. As a one-man show, the $15 million guy with 75 products is a one-person show. There's one person that helps with accounting. But to be honest, there's not that much accounting with only 75 customers. Right? It's not really that many.
Yeah.
They have a lot of zeros, but they're small. He was saying at one point the average order size was 15,000.
Oh man. That's crazy. I find it impressive that he was able to secure 75 exclusive products or listings. Like that is the toughest thing to do. And yeah, hats off to that guy because that is just incredible.
And one more tip that he shared that I want to share with you guys is he goes to networking events, wholesalers, like trade shows. And his goal is to have a conversation with 3 people per hour. So I think that should give you an idea of how going slower is going faster. 20 minutes with a complete stranger is very hard.
Yeah.
You have to like learn about their kids and that's a lot of time to kick it with somebody. So that guy's name, by the way, is Eddie Levine. If you guys want to look him up.
Is he on YouTube?
He's not on YouTube, but he has a Facebook group called, I think, the Wholesale something. I'm sure he'll pop up if you just Google it, Eddie Levine. But again, it's the same thing. It's a lot of work. He will fly to a different state to spend time with people. And he's not going to the event to get drunk. He's going to the event to meet 3 people an hour and go home.
That's cool, man.
Very laser focused.
It just goes to show like our first point about, expanding your network and building the connections and relationships, how important it really is. Like that's probably the number one thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you, Josh, so much. Where can people find you on the internet?
Thank you so much for having me. If anybody is interested, you can find me on Instagram, Josh_profits, or you can check out my YouTube channel. It's also the same thing, Josh_profits, or just Josh space profits. And yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome. I'll put the link to your channel and Instagram in the description below. And everyone have a great day.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take care.